Hello and welcome back to Market House, a podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name is Caleb and I am the host of this show. And we just, we're now returning from the Thanksgiving holiday. I hope everyone had a good time with family and friends and enjoyed all that good Thanksgiving food. I know I did. And, that means, running on the treadmill a little more and, putting an extra couple minutes into working out because that food is not the healthiest. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the food and time with family. We actually just returned from traveling, visiting family from out of state, and had a good time, but the traveling part of it is not super exciting during this crazy time. You're on the plane and someone sneezes or coughs and you're just like, what in the world? I don't want to get sick. And so you're tightening that face mask up, making sure no air makes its way through. And, it's cold and flu season, so that doesn't help at all, being around a bunch of sick people. So that wasn't my favorite, but seeing family was awesome. And, it's part of it. When you want to go see someone, you got to hop on a plane most of the time. So it is what it is. We enjoyed our time with them. And, also trying to finish Christmas shopping, and that has not been the easiest. Again, during these crazy times. And especially like clothing items. I've noticed that most of the trendy items are out of stock. And I know that shouldn't surprise me, given that they are trendy items. That gives them that definition of being in demand. But I feel like it's extra hard this year. And again, I know there's probably shipping issues and stocking issues for these companies, so I understand. But at the end of the day, it does not make it easy for me because now I'm searching inventory every hour, trying to lock down a couple items. So hopefully you're not having the same problems I am. I know most of you are, but that's okay. It's not about the stuff, I guess. It's about spending time with loved ones and enjoying the Christmas season. So enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive into that Disney news. First up, we have some news from Disney Corporate, and that is the new executive chairman of Disney is Susan Arnold. And this person has been on the Disney board for 14 years, which is impressive in itself, but she will actually succeed Bob Iger as executive chairman at the end of this year. And also, this is kind of big news because not only that they're naming Susan Arnold as the executive chairman, but that the executive chairman will be filled by someone other than the CEO. So Bob Iger, the previous CEO, filled both of these roles. So it looks like it's a new direction for corporate governance and, kind of separation of power there and make sure there's some accountability present in the Disney board and Disney company as a whole. This is not unique to Disney. I think a lot of corporations are moving in this direction. Shareholders want it, and so shareholders will get it. So they're getting what they asked for, and having two people fill those two important roles. Next is some exciting news, and that is It's a Small World is open in Disneyland. And it opened quietly, no big announcement or anything. They just had the line open, I guess, and the music playing, and people got in line for the ride. And it's opening after a unexpected closure when it was flooded during the Christmas overlay kind of project. So every year it goes down for, a couple days and then comes back up after being decorated for the holidays. And it flooded in the process. So I know some critical infrastructure was damaged, some equipment that, helped make the ride run. And so they had to close it unexpectedly, and they got it back up pretty quickly. So it is back open. So if you need that Small World fix, go and get it. Next, we have some Walt Disney World news, and that is the trams are returning to Magic Kingdom. So both parks, both Disneyland and Disney World, have been tramless for the last year or so. I don't know the exact time frame, but it's been a point of contention for many folks going, hey, I'm paying big bucks to be here and paying money to park in your parking structure, and I can't even get transportation from this parking structure to the park when you used to offer that service. And it looks like due to popular demand, this mode of transportation is returning to Walt Disney World at first, and specifically Magic Kingdom. So December, Magic Kingdom trams will come back up, and they said that Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios will get trams throughout this next year. So in 2022, you should expect to see the trams return to full functionality on the East Coast in Walt Disney World. Still no news for the West Coast, unfortunately. So if you're at the Disneyland Resort, you'll still have to walk, so bring your walking shoes. But for the folks on the East Coast, congrats, you're getting the trams back. And the last news item we have is by far the largest and most impactful news item, and that is Disney Genie is coming to Disneyland on December 8th. So very, very short notice. And again, a little weird that they announced it with such little advance notice, and it's kind of, it's creeping up on us. So in the next few days, Disney Genie is going to be live here on the West Coast. It's been over in Disney World already and announced and active. And again, I think it's received the criticism that it deserves, I guess. I don't know. People really don't love it. And it's coming to Disneyland. So that means Lightning Lane is here. And with all that comes, longer standby waits and pressure to spend money to skip the line on a product that used to be free, in the version of FastPass. So, not excited, I would say, for this program, but also interested. I'm interested to see how the rollout goes and how fans or, Disney park goers receive and use this product. So I will be glued to my phone here when it's released, which is a Wednesday, December 8th. And so we'll be on Twitter and Instagram and see what people think about the product and the service. But yeah, Genie is coming to Disneyland. So buckle up, folks. Again, save those pennies because you'll need them to be able to ride the popular rides like, Cars and the Star Wars one that I'm forgetting the name of, Rise of the Resistance, all the big ones, because you need to pay to have a reasonable wait, it looks like. So if you don't have an extra 2.5 hours, then you'll have to pony up some change to ride these rides. So again, it's coming, and I guess we'll see how it goes. So this brings us to the main segment of this episode, and that is the Encanto movie review. Went to the movies for the first time in over a year to see this movie, so was a little excited to return to the movie-going experience. And again, that just like traveling, it is an interesting experience now because of this little thing called COVID. So if you're not ready to go to the movies, I totally understand. Only reason we went, to be honest, was because a big group of family members were going, and it's kind of a Thanksgiving tradition for all of us to get out and see a movie. So we decided to continue it this year, safely, of course, sat in the back, wore a mask, and prayed that we did not get sick. But just like traveling, it's still interesting. So again, we went to the movies for the first time in a long time, so we were a little geared up and ready for that theater popcorn and overpriced candy, and I was ready for it. I didn't care that I spent nearly $20 on popcorn and a candy item, but it is what it is, right? And we were excited to do it. I was excited to spend that money because we were back at the movies. Let me tell you a little bit about this movie. Encanto was directed by Jared Buss, Byron Howard, and co-directed by Charisse Castro-Smith. And Disney seems to like doing the co-directing stuff now because it feels like every movie is co-directed, so they can share the responsibilities, I guess. But Jared Bush, he co-wrote and co-directed Zootopia. He also wrote Moana. And Byron Howard directed Bolt, Tangled, and directed Zootopia with our pal Jared. So looks like they worked together before on that little movie called Zootopia. And so they've got a little experience making the feature films. Lin-Manuel Miranda, if I can say his name right, Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote the music. And I'll share more of my opinion on that later. And I'll just tell you that he wrote it. And I'll say that for now, and I'll share my opinion later. But yeah, I'm curious to see what people thought about Disney's decision to release this theater only. And I was really hoping that we would get the Premier Access option this time because, again, in this state of things and state of the world, I'd much rather pay the $30 and enjoy the comfort of my own home and not be stressed out the whole time to watch a movie. So a little bummed out to see that Disney did not offer this time. But yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts on it. Are you a Disney or movie purist and you're like, theater only, it must be seen on the silver screen? Or are you like me and am more open to the idea of seeing these movies on my own TV at home? And, I think most folks don't have or have movie setups at home that aren't worth scoffing at. I think, big screen TVs are more affordable than ever, and decent sound systems are attainable. I don't suggest watching movies at home on a small TV with TV speakers. That's a terrible experience. But if you have the ability to get these things, then I think it's a decent watching experience. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on the whole thing. I wish they offered Premier Access, but they did not. But anyways, wanted to see what your thoughts are on that whole thing. But yeah, I will just come right out and say that I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie. And it wasn't bad, it just wasn't really good. I mean, I remember my uncles and aunts and all my cousins and stuff were like, "Wait, what'd you think?" And I was like, "Meh," like it was okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like it was a waste of a couple hours of my life. I also weren't. I don't think I'll ever see it again. And again, I think I'm in the minority on that because I think a lot of people loved this movie, and the internet was abuzz about this thing, and yeah, social media, everyone was talking about it, saying it's the next Disney classic, or I don't know, I don't get it. So let me tell you a little bit as to why I wasn't a giant fan. But yeah, the movie revolves around a magical house that the Madrigal family lives in. And yeah, there's a whole story as to why the family and the house have magic. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I don't remember if it showed it in the preview. But yeah, there's a reason as to why these characters have magic and have the ability to do these crazy things. A sister is very strong and can lift stuff up. She's essentially a movie superhero. And there's a sister that's like has magic abilities with flowers. So a lot of crazy, wacky magic things in this. And the house itself is magical. It can shape shift, and rooms are giant lands. And yeah, there's this whole magical universe. But the biggest thing I had a problem with was this magic had very loose rules around it. And I know it's a kid's movie, and I may be being too critical, but for the adults and even for the kids, if the movie makes sense, it's enjoyable. But at the end of it, again, I consider myself a adequately smart person. I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination, but most of my family left the movie going, "Did you understand why the magic did this? Or do you understand why she wasn't able to do X, Y, Z?" We left with more questions than answers, and I don't think a movie should have that effect on people. It should answer all the questions that it lays out in the film, and then answer it at the end, right? I think that's how the movie equation works, but that wasn't the case for this film. And also the humor, the comedy aspect of this movie didn't work for me either. And a perfect example of this, basically the perfect summary as to why I didn't like it, was all summarized in these 3 characters, and they're nameless, I believe. I don't think we hear their names, but it's 3 kids that follow the main characters around, and they pop up from time to time. And the whole shtick is them screaming like random things, and they yell when they say normal sentences. So that's the joke. It doesn't make any sense. Like when there's no introduction to these characters, they just kind of pop up and they start screaming things at the main characters, and we're supposed to laugh at that. And I think the joke is that they drink coffee and that they consume caffeine at a young age, and we're supposed to think that's funny. Again, I don't know. That was just one example as to what did not work for me. And I just kind of sat there going, "Oh, am I supposed to laugh at this?" Kids didn't get it. Adults didn't get it. No one laughed at these parts. So a little confusing, and again, an example of why the humor really didn't work. So, we've talked about the story and it not making a ton of sense. We've talked about the funny parts not being very funny, and then the music. And usually I'm a giant fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda's work, especially Hamilton, the Moana soundtrack. He does a really good job. But this one was kind of weak. There was one song that I left remembering the tune to, remembering the words to. The rest of them were super forgettable. So again, not particularly bad. I didn't leave going, that music was terrible. I just left going, it was okay, right? So definitely his weakest work up to this point. Moana's soundtrack is a million times better. And that's, the most direct comparison I can make since that's another Disney movie. But yeah, again, he has his trademark sound and it's present in this movie. You definitely know who did the music for this film. But yeah, this one did not do the trick for me. So I've covered the negatives, and I was pretty negative about this movie. But the one thing I can say that I absolutely loved about this movie was the animation. And again, I know that's kind of expected with a Disney movie. They're all beautiful to look at. But this one, again, takes it to the next level. And with new technology and all the money they pour into these things, like the movement of the main character's clothes were insane. Like they legit look like normal, regular clothes. Her hair movements, it just was insane. The colors they used. There's a character, like I said before, what's her name? Isabella. She's got the power of flowers. Again, I don't understand what that means, but she's got the power of making flowers do what she wants. And so, of course, these big, vibrant colors come up on the screen, and it's a joy to look at. So it was a very good movie to watch visually, just didn't love the rest of it. So yeah, I mean, to summarize my thoughts, I didn't like it a lot. I won't see it again. The story wasn't super strong. I didn't connect with any of the characters. I honestly didn't really care what happened to any of them. And that sounds pretty harsh, but I just was like, this movie could do anything right now. And I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. It ended. Great. So yeah, it wasn't great. And let me tell you this, there were a ton of kids in the movie, of course expected. It was a kid's movie, and they were totally getting antsy like halfway to 3/4 of the way through the movie. It wasn't, I don't think the kids liked it either because it wasn't great. Like, I don't know. I can't get it. I think the kids agree. Three-quarters of the way through, they were getting loud and rowdy and kind of like, we're not into this. And they were plenty old to understand what was going on the screen, but I just don't think they cared. So yeah, anyways, if you want to see a beautiful movie, see it because it's visually stunning. But I don't know. I'd maybe wait. In my opinion, I'd wait till it came out on Disney Plus to stream, or maybe save a couple bucks and wait till it comes out for streaming at home. If you're a family and have to pay $75 to go see a movie, maybe wait to spend the $30 to see it because I'm not sure it's worth that much money. But thank you so much for listening. That kind of wraps it up for us for this week. Thank you so much for spending time with us and, maybe waiting for the week that we were gone. Glad to be back, and we'll be back on our normally scheduled programming up until Christmas, and then we'll take a little break there, of course. But again, thanks so much for listening. Follow us on Instagram at Market House Podcast to see all of the crazy shenanigans we get ourselves into on there. And join us next week for another episode. Thanks so much. Have a great one. We'll see you next time.